Welcome, everyone, to United States History to 1877. This is Chapter 3, British North America. In Chapter 3, we will learn the following. 1. British colonies matured politically, economically, and socially. Colonists went to war with native peoples. And 3. Slavery became an established centerpiece of the American economy. Before we begin, please complete the first page of handout number 1 found in the back of your reading guide. British North American colonies used slave labor as the foundation for their economy. New laws that were passed in the 1660s made slavery for Africans both lifelong and to be passed down from parent to child. For over 400 years, Africans were brought to the New World as slaves. The transportation of Africans to the New World was called the Middle Passage. Each voyage of African slaves to the New World took over 6 months to travel from West Africa to North America or the Caribbean. During the Middle Passage, close to 11 to 12 million persons were transported in slavery from Africa to the New World, and there were 2 million people who died on the voyage. 450,000 Africans arrived in North America during the Middle Passage. A 1662 Virginia law stated that an enslaved woman's children inherited the condition of slavery. This created the legal idea of race as based on the status of the mother as a slave and determined by African ancestry and skin color. Let's take a pause and think about what you've just heard. Practice saying out loud some of the things you remember after reading and listening to the text and this presentation. In a moment, you'll write down your thoughts on the notes page in your handout. Pause and record in your notes page. Stop the video here if you need to, and start again when you are ready. Slaves had no property rights, legal protections, or even the right to marry or have families. Slaves were owned under the law as property to be kept or sold according to their white enslavers. The English Revolution in 1640 divided the loyalties of American colonists. Some favored King Charles I, while others supported Parliament. When Charles I was executed, his successor, Charles II, punished his supporters. With new laws like the Navigation Acts, these laws required greater control over trade, reducing the independence of the colonies. New colonies were created in Maryland, Rhode Island, and Pennsylvania. Let's take another moment to pause and record what we can remember on the notes page in your reading guide. Again, feel free to stop the video here and start again when you're ready. In the 1600s, British colonies saw frequent violence in the Pequot War, King Philip's War, and in Bacon's Rebellion. During the Pequot War, British Puritans in New England attacked the Pequot Indians, burning their villages and killing nearly the entire population of the Pequot Nation. King Philip's War was named after a Native American known as Metacom, who the British called King Philip. During King Philip's War, the British burned villages that supported Metacom, killing women and children. The British did not consider Native Americans as people the same as Europeans. These wars reduced Native American tribes in New England, changing the political and cultural future of the region. Bacon's rebellion was different. Nathaniel Bacon was an indentured servant who led a rebellion in Virginia for greater freedom for common people. The wealthy opposed his reforms and put down his movement. In reaction to the anger that commoners had, the wealthy reduced their use of indentured servants like Nathaniel Bacon and increased the use of African slaves. This use of slavery represents how race has been used as a social control mechanism. For as long as slaves were lower in society than whites, poor whites would not rebel against the wealthy class. What we learned in today's lecture can be summed up in these 3 points. 1. British colonies matured politically, economically, and socially. 2. British colonists went to war with native peoples. And 3. Slavery became an established centerpiece of the American economy. This has been United States History to 1877, Chapter 3, British North America, created with work from the American Yop, an open-source U.S. history textbook from Stanford University, edited by Joseph Locke and Ben Wright, and myself, Tyler Rust, your historian and guide through this course. Check out more great stories about history at historydojo.blog.